at Colorado, we don't think we've got this down. We're a learning community. We're learning here right along with you. We have made a lot of mistakes, and I hope we're making them every day, because if we're not sticking our necks out far enough. So I like the IDEO motto of fail often to succeed sooner. So we implemented that with the changing the conversation messages. So I'll share with you some of the things, and again, feel free to critique what we're doing here. You've gotten some of the timeline of the project. I will say, when Engineer Your Life unveiled their stuff at the WEPAN meeting in June 2008, the lights went on for us. We thought, wow, we know the messaging, but now this is going to really help us cast that in a way that has appeal to youth. And so we took it seriously, and following that at CU Boulder, we began brainstorming the messaging and the strategy. We started running internal workshops for our faculty and our staff. And you might say, why would faculty come to a Changing the Conversation workshop? And the answer was because they were a lot of fun, right? And they were hands-on workshops. Chuck talked earlier about people learn through doing. So we didn't talk to them about the messages. We got them to come to workshops. The workshops got a reputation of being a lot of fun in our college. And our faculty really want to do good stuff. And they started coming to the workshops. And the outcomes from our workshops started showing up in our marketing materials, and so there was a pretty natural feedback loop then. But at the same time, we overhauled all of our broadening participation programs, our traditional women in engineering and multicultural engineering programs. We abolished those programs, and we integrated our participation broadening programs into something called the BOLD Center, Broadening Opportunities Through Leadership and Development. It was a really scary time. I have recommendations if you want to do that start with buy your Kevlar vest right at the beginning, because it's rough work. But we're pretty happy coming out the back end of that with what we're seeing. So now the Changing of the Conversation workshop is part of our new faculty orientation for all of our new faculty. It's a several-hour workshop, and it is always their favorite part of the week-long new faculty orientation. So it's about really building a team of people within the college that believe in the new messaging. And now we use CTCing and EYLing as a verb in our college. And the question is, has that been put through the EYL filter? Has that been put through the CTC filter? We know what that means. And if the answer is no, it means take it back to the drawing board. This is something we're never going to release in public. So how did we go about doing that? And Don talked earlier about aspirational messaging. Our college took the approach of, we liked the aspirational messaging that came out of CTC. So some pieces of it you'll find stick better with your own institution. So I'll take you through a quick journey on how we recast our communications to Engineers Make a Difference in the World, how we began talking in terms of ideas and impact, a world of difference, and positioning engineering in a more positive way. If you looked at in a nutshell what we do, we layer the Changing the Conversation content. We don't even call it Changing the Conversation, or at first we called it PUE, but pooing didn't seem too appealing, so now we CTC it. It's a much better acronym. That was a rough one to start with. But we layer our CTC knowledge with the aspirational global spirit of engineering, and that whole global spirit really gains a lot of traction with youngsters. We definitely exploit the Engineer Your Life interfaces, and you'll see a bunch of those. And we've personalized them for our college, and as I said, everything that goes through recruiting. So we focus a lot on this whole concept of engineers make a world of difference. And we've gone sort of outside of our normal realm for how we go about our marketing and creation. And you'll see a lot of these visuals in here. There's a whole bunch of them in packets here up at the front after all three of us are done and we have the next break. You're welcome to grab a packet of that stuff and take it back to your home shop. We did find, when we looked at what we were doing, we do a lot with K-12. We've had tremendous NSF support for years through our GK-12 programs. We're on our third GK-12 engineering grant at Colorado. I think we're the only engineering college that's gotten 3 of those, so we snuck that one in. We're pretty excited. But we, through that, we experience hands-on engineering with about 1,500 students every week, week in and week out, all year long. And we found we had actually had our logo done through a professional logo developer, and this was our old logo. Teams, technology and engineering to advance math and science. Really? That's what we did because we thought it was the right thing to do. right? But we know now that that's not a great message, and it's especially not a message that has attraction to teen girls. So now teams, which we didn't want to give up, and this logo is known as Teammate throughout our community, so we didn't want to give up. But it now stands for Tomorrow's Engineers, Create, Imagine, and Succeed in the sort of iPod vernacular. But it does have that forward-thinking, engineers use imagination to create component of that. So how do you recast what you have? By the way, these two taglines we use a lot, Creativity Unleashed, We Are CU, and How Will the World See You, came out of faculty workshops. They're used a lot. They see their stuff used a lot, so guess what? Faculty like it. These are the kinds of things that we're creating now. This Dream Big, Love What You Do. The Dream Big, because dreams need doing, aspirational tagline and messaging is what we have honed in on. This, we started off our campaign for this by creating a 6-foot poster that lived out in our engineering lobby. And these are our own students that we featured here as being real human beings that have lives outside of engineering. And and these also became recruiting postcards that we wrote personal messages to students on. So you can see the kind of more fun approach that we took here, and again, really capitalized on the Engineer Your Life stuff. Again, and we worked at recasting the communication from those personal benefits to how engineers make a difference in the world. Again, featuring our own students. CU student Jacob Melvin used engineering and animation to land his dream job at DreamWorks. So we tell our own students' stories, and let me tell you, our students love to see their stories told. And once you start having your own students' stories told, and then you ask them to come, hey, would you mind coming in and working with us on a Thursday night to write 300 postcards and make calls? They're down with it because these are their peeps, and they really like it. So it's really, really worked for us. By the way, I took a bunch of these cards into my invention and innovation class. It's an upper division technical elective. It's almost all men, many mechanical engineers, but it goes across the college. And I handed these out and said to our students, tell me your first impression. I got all kinds of impressions, but I really wanted to see what did our men think about, ooh, coral and gold and this girly thing, right? I mean, it's even got some things that are sort of almost flowery. Oh, there's flowery stuff, right? Again, this is the Engineer Your Life template. And sort of the answers I got back, I would sum it up to say that they all agreed that any place that used this kind of messaging would attract, they meant women. That isn't the word they used, would attract women, and any place that did that, that's where they wanted to be. It was kind of an interesting, piece of feedback, right? It's a perspective we don't have. So we even got a little edgier as time went on, and indeed, what do rock and roll and laser tag have to do with engineering? And what they have to do with engineering is positioning engineering as relevant, creative, dynamic, gratifying, and innovative, the words that came out of the CTC study. But that's kind of a bold and different way to frame that. For our Teach Engineering digital library, which now has up to 85,000 users a month, we use the messaging. Every time you come into the Teach Engineering digital library, you'll see that, because every moment is a messaging moment. But then we took that farther and said, and this has been a really interesting experience for me, so I lead the creation of the Teach Engineering digital library. I've led this team for years. I even think they like me, and for sure they trust me. And so I asked them, for these 900 lessons and activities, let's go deeper, and let's not just message the homepage, but let's message each and every one of those lessons and activities. And I thought, well, they're just going to buy this, right? They knew I was on the CTC committee. No, not so easy. It was a real lesson for me. It took me a month, right? Just got them all to agree last week that we, in fact, would go through and message each of the lessons with the messages and a few of the taglines, because we like them. But the piece I wanted to share with you about that was this concern about, is it cheesy, right? And that's what the team came back, said, whoa, it's okay to message your homepage and to message brochures, but now you're talking about curriculum. Now you're talking about stuff really important to me. And is marketing cheesy? Does it diminish the quality of our product, right? Because we do this messaging here. And so it was not an easy sell job, is what I wanted to share with you. And they have now, after a month, decided that, in fact, the messages won't taint the curriculum. But No, right? I mean, I am a really hard driving person, and if it takes me a month to convince people that trust me and even like me, I want to share with you that's not easy stuff.